All your favorite wrestling shows rolled into one. Welcome to the WeBook It Podcast. Let's start the show.
Good Monday evening, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Monday Night Raw Dog. I am your host, Coach, and I am joined once again by one of my favorite producers. It is Big Daddy C. C, how you doing tonight, man?
I'm doing good, man. Just, enjoying my day off. Got another day off tomorrow, so just been chilling, playing some college football, 26, and it's been kind of nerve-wracking. I've been doing the road to glory, and it's very stressful. And I now understand what it's like for aspiring college athletes to get their shine when they're not a bona fide starter. To go from like the fourth string all the way to the start. Wait, what the hell? It is very tough, and I wouldn't wait. And I even chose a 4-star running back this time around, and still because I ended up going to Texas, and so they had like 3 running backs over me. So I guess they went by like overalls, and so yeah, I had to really fight my way up. And then the running back position battles. They make it as difficult as they possibly can so that you don't get the starting positions. But I finally made it to number 1 position. So I'm looking to get my Heisman and a national championship. So before I go off to the league. Yeah, man. How about you, man?
I too also had a day off today, so it was nice. Got a nice workout in by the pool in my apartment complex, so I was happy with that, and then just enjoying myself. Had made my own rotisserie chicken for the first time tonight, and I think I did really well. I did really well.
Nice.
So, yeah, let's jump right in. It is the go-home show of Monday Night Raw before SummerSlam, and we start out the show with another 10-bell salute to Hulk Hogan, all the wrestlers out there. Oddly enough, Triple H wasn't out there, but he did play the same recording that he said on Friday Night SmackDown, and they played a really nice video package for Hulk Hogan. So, obviously, an emotional start, but we get to our first segment, which is Jey Uso coming to the ring and getting the crowd hyped up. And right as he is about to start his promo, Paul Heyman interrupts, and Heyman pretty much just tries to do his usual mind game stuff, basically saying how nobody in his family really believes in Jey, even goes as far as talking about Santa Claus and his Jewish heritage. Like it got really weird, if I'm being honest. It got very weird, and either way, it ended with Jey Uso saying his catchphrase and getting the crowd hyped up. I'm not really sure what they were trying to accomplish with this segment. I don't know if maybe without the opening of the tribute, maybe it would have hit better, but I don't know. It just didn't resonate well with me, and I know people online were very confused as well. See, what do you think of our opening segment there?
My bad, I was distracted. What was the segment again? I was reading a text from a friend, so like that ghosted me last week. But yeah, sorry, I'm so sorry, Coach.
You're good. Jey and Heyman's promo battle.
Yeah, it was quite interesting. Obviously the history there with them in the bloodline, and now Heyman pretty much throwing shots at the family of Jey, and it's just like, bro, like, what are we doing? Like, you we took you in like as the wise man of this group of the bloodline, the OG bloodline. And now you treating us like this, like you mentioning my father now. So I thought it was rather interesting, just adding to the dynamic. I do think it's kind of weird now for Heyman to still be like the talking piece, even though Rollins is hurt. So it's, it kind of loses the edge that we want, like that we would expect. It sucks, but that's the reality we living in right now. So yeah, I'm not sure what the plan is for SummerSlam. Is it? Oh yeah, Jey and Roman versus Breaker and Bronson Reed. So yeah, I think I don't know what to expect in terms of like how everything will play out in the match. Even though I picked Roman and Jey to win. It's just we don't know if Seth is going to show up or not. So I mean, SummerSlam, anything can happen. So yeah, those are my thoughts on that opening segment.
All right. Well, then we get to our first match of the evening, and it is a rare mixed tag team match with AJ Styles and the Kabuki Warriors going up against Dominic Mysterio, Roxanne Perez, and Raquel Rodriguez. And this one was a very, very entertaining match. Obviously, Dom playing the natural cowardly heel, not wanting to tag in and take on AJ. Roxanne and Raquel doing a great job isolating Kairi, Zane, and Asuka. And then finally when AJ got the tag and Dom had to come in, it was all Styles. And actually, as he was lining up for the phenomenal forearm, Roxanne Perez actually got in the way to prevent it from happening. And even then, AJ worked around it. Asuka came in for a save. And then a really cool spot there, too, where Raquel Rodriguez was on the outside and AJ pretty much threw Kairi Sane up in the air and she landed right in the lap of Raquel. I thought that was a great spot. And then phenomenal forearm, 1, 2, 3 for the victory. And just a fun match overall. I really liked. I think that should have been the opening after the tribute to really get the crowd hyped. But I understand they wanted Jey to do it because, I mean, crowd involvement with his entrance is everything. But either way, great match. See what you think of this one.
I thought it was pretty solid match. One of those rare mixed gender matches. We don't see too many of those nowadays. So for the fact that we had a six kind of like a 6-man mixed gender match, one guy and then 2 women. I think that might be a first, honestly, because normally it's 2 guys and 1 girl on each side. So I think this had to be the first one where there's two women's tag teams and 1 men's solo competitor in a mixed tag team match. So yeah, I thought it was pretty cool. Yeah, that moment where AJ pretty much threw Kairi Sane, outside the ring, that was a nice spot. But yeah, it was a nice little win. AJ pinning Dom. I hope he wins at SummerSlam, but we know how thing is with momentum. Going into a pay-per-view usually spells doom for for the person that got the momentum recently. But yeah, I'm excited to see how everything plays out. Not only with AJ and Dom, but the Kabuki Warriors. I know they're more than likely going to get a shot down the line at the Women's Tag Team Championships. We'll see how that plays out. But yeah, those are my thoughts.
All right, moving on to our next. Let's see. I think it was another match. Yes, it was. Sorry, my computer was a little slow here. We get our next match. It is Sheamus versus Grayson Waller, which came about earlier in the day when Grayson Waller was bragging about, once again, shedding dead weight of Austin Theory, which, for those of you that didn't know, apparently A-Town Down Under broke up on Main Event. But there's that. Waller thinks he's part of the New Day now, to which the New Day we're not aware of, so they're kind of hanging him out to dry. Either way, he was trash talking Sheamus. Sheamus said, "Okay, let's have a match." And typical Sheamus style match. It's a lot of hard hitting. He does his usual thing, and as he lined up for the brogue kick and hit Waller to go for the pin, Rusev came out and put him in the accolade, and leaving Sheamus lying on the floor. So it was, was it the best match? No, but did it serve a purpose to keep the feud going? Absolutely. So it was all right. But it was also nice to see Grayson Waller in a match, singles match. We haven't seen that in, I don't know how long, but it was nice to see that. See your thoughts on this match with Sheamus and Waller.
This one was a piss break match for me. Obviously, like you said, it did serve a purpose. In terms of furthering the rivalry or making the rivalry more intense between Sheamus and Rusev. So I'm not sure what kind of match they're going to have at SummerSlam. I'd imagine it'd probably be like a one of those brawl matches or something like that. Kind of weird. We already got one street fight match, so I guess it'll be kind of like a different type of theme match for either Rusev or Sheamus. And so we'll see how that plays out. But yeah, it was, like I said, piss break match for me. But I'm just glad to see this rivalry getting more intense. So
yeah, I think it's probably gonna culminate at Clash in Paris, which I am not.
Oh yeah.
I am not upset. That would be perfect. Two European wrestlers, and
they don't necessarily need to be on the SummerSlam card on it, because I think everything is pretty much set in stone, barring any injuries.
There's no more additions.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha.
All right. So this next segment is kind of a two-parter here. So we'll start with the first part. It is Lyra Valkyria coming out to give a quick promo about her match with Becky Lynch. And, it started out very awkward. I think a lot of it was Lyra was trying to be herself, but also still trying to stay in character. I don't know, but you could still see that how green she is on the mic still. But she has gotten better, and she recovered after a very awkward start. Either way, Becky's music hits, and we're waiting for Becky to come out. Lyra's waiting, and then eventually Lyra just goes off the top rope and hits Becky, who was waiting with a kendo stick to hit Lyra. They brawl. Lyra gets the kendo stick, starts hitting Becky, and that was kind of it. So Lyra stood tall at the end of that. Following that, going to part two of this segment, we get Corey Graves sitting down with Sami Zayn talking about his SummerSlam match with Karrion Kross, only for Karrion Kross to interrupt the interview and start doing the interview himself with Sami Zayn, basically saying that everyone always shows their true colors after I get to them, except for you. But I know it's in there. You aren't as good as you think you are. You're not as good of a person. And basically, they put on the line for SummerSlam saying if Kross wins, then Sami has to admit that Kross was right. If Sami wins, then Kross has to admit that Kross was wrong. Either way, some obvious tension brewing. Like you could feel the buildup of like, how are they going to do this? Is it going to be a normal Sami Zayn like underdog story, or are they going to let Cross, the villain, win in this scenario? Really good backstage interview. But see, what do you think of both of these segments? Oh, your mic's muted. See,
For the Lyra and Becky segment, I thought it was kind of awkward, especially the when Becky tried to pull a sneak attack, and I think there is some the Titantron issue. Missed the signal there, and so, but she made amends for it and did what she had to do to attack her. And pretty much they started brawling. So I enjoyed that despite the little hiccups there. In regard to the second segment with Sammy and Karrion Kross, I'm hoping this leads to more. Like, you know, I don't want SummerSlam to be the end all be all for this rivalry. You know, I think I hope this kind of like culminates in them two becoming a tag team. You know, and really, you know, kind of like bringing a shift in the tag team division. You know, so those are my thoughts. I had no issue with, you know, any of the segments, you know. So, yeah, those are my thoughts.
All right, we get to our next match, which is an 8-woman tag team match with the teams of Chelsea Green, Piper Niven, Alba Fyre, and Naomi going up against Rhea Ripley, Io Sky, Nikki Bella, and Stephanie Vaquer. And this match definitely delivered in all of its spots. Typical heel matchup, heels in control, and then we cut to break, and first it was Io getting beat up a lot, and then we come in and it's Nikki Bella getting beat up a lot, and actually Naomi had a pretty disrespectful move on Nikki Bella, which I thought was great. She did a knee slide into the corner like she was about to do a running knee, and then just slapped the crap out of Nikki Bella. And I was and even Michael Cole was like, "Oh, that was disrespectful right there."
Right.
I was like, loved it. Loved that, Naomi. Either way, we get the hot tag from Bella to Io Sky. Then Io Sky tags in Vaquer, who then delivered the Devil's Kiss to Chelsea Green, to which the whole crowd went crazy. Why not? And then finally hitting a SVB. I think they're trying out this new finisher for her. They're just calling it the Stephanie Vaquer bomb. So I don't know. They're probably going to change that. Yeah, I don't like the name of it either. But
I don't like the finisher. I don't like the finisher at all, honestly.
Oh, really?
Yeah, no. It seems too basic of a move. Like, it's like one of the moves like you just see during a regular match. Like, you know, early on in the match, you see somebody do a move like that, you know, just like as a counter or something like that. Like, it doesn't strike me as a fearsome like finisher. Like it doesn't, you know. I feel like she needs something like, you know, I know she had like a high flying finisher like during her NXT days, and she had like another move as well. You know, I think something like a nice little modified kick could work well for her. I mean, I know she does like super kicks from time to time, but yeah, I don't care for the finisher for her or the name.
The name for sure. Yeah, they definitely got to figure that out. But either way, Babyface is on top. Ripley, Vaquer, Sky, and Bella win. And then a quick backstage segment after the victory with these women. They're all celebrating. Io stops Ripley and wants to talk to her, to which Rhea says, "Listen, I know we were teammates tonight, but just know come SummerSlam, we're going to be enemies." And Io says, "Well, Rhea, you have never beaten me once," which is true. and you never will, which adds some more tension into this match to where maybe somebody goes off the rails a little bit. Really liked that backstage segment, but see what you think of the match overall.
Obviously, you know me. I'm one of those guys that's just, you know, I enjoy you normally watching the women do their thing. But yeah, it was a solid match. I didn't nothing to write home about, but yeah.
All right, we get to our next match, which is a World Tag Team Championship match between the LWO and the Judgment Day. Not really a whole lot to go off of except for the awesome high-flying stunts that Wilde and Del Toro did to kind of get the crowd ignited. They were lining up for the victory until El Grande Americano, a.k.a. Ludwig Kaiser, came in for a distraction. But even then, that didn't work out. And Dragon Lee came out to get the assist. And right when you thought it was in the clear and Wilde was lined up for his finishing move, a second El Grande Americano came out of the crowd and pushed Wilde off. Then Finn Bálor hit coup de grace for the victory and gets the title defense for Judgment Day. So really the story out of this match is not the match itself. It is who's the second El Grande Americano now. Because we know it's not Chad Gable, because Gable is in a sling. He was at the Minnesota Twins game on Sunday.
Yeah.
And he was being interviewed, and he was in a sling and everything. So it's not him. So now it's speculation of what are we doing here? I've been patient with this. I think Kaiser's doing a great job with the recent Mexico tour that WWE did this weekend. The crowd was all over him and loved it. He was over with the crowd. And now you're adding a second guy. If it wasn't Gable, if Gable was the second guy, then I think it would have been a funny kind of thing of like, oh, okay, now like who's the real one? Now you're just adding in a random guy. And by the way, people are speculating that it might be Pete Dunne under that mask.
Yeah, I heard. Because I was watching the video, and people were saying Pete Dunne. Somebody was saying Rey Mysterio. I was like, that would be pointless. Especially after the feud that, like, he was part of the reason this whole thing came about to begin with. So I'm like, right. I highly doubt it would have been Rey. But yeah, I don't know, man. I'm kind of over the Grande Americano, to be honest with you. It was fun when it first started, but I think once now, like, you have somebody else doing it as opposed to it just being Chad Gable, I think that kind of took away from the comedy of it all, or the interest for the most part. So yeah, I'm pretty much over it, man. I think you got multiple guys like portraying this guy, kind of takes away from the original storyline, the purpose of El Grande Americano existing. So yeah, those are my thoughts on that.
Which we still don't even know why. We don't have a payoff for what. We don't know what the payoff is for this. Like, why did Gable start doing this and everything? Like,
yeah, it was because he got tired of losing to the Luchadors, and he said he's gonna go get some help on how to beat them, and learn the Luchador way. And so yeah, he got tired of losing to Rey and Penta and Dragon Lee and all those guys. So not that it matters because he still gets beat up from time to time. So he hasn't learned all that much, and we don't even know who taught him. So that mystery hasn't been solved either. So it's almost like, what are we doing here? Like, Come on now. Let's just wrap this up and have everybody move on about their days and move on to the next storyline.
All right, so then we get to our next segment, which is a promo battle between Gunther and CM Punk. It starts out with Gunther bragging about how last week he left the voice of the voiceless speechless, and then Punk were to come out, and Punk basically says, he doesn't want to be world champion. He needs to be world champion, that he doesn't drink, he doesn't do drugs, but he understands addiction because he's addicted to winning the world title, and that he's earned himself the title of best in the world. And when Gunther tries to say something, Punk puts the hand on and even calls him youngster and says, "I'm not finished yet." And this time he left Gunther speechless. So it was really well done. I thought a great segment, in my book for sure. And it leads to kind of that iffiness of, are they going to pull the trigger with Punk winning at SummerSlam, or are they going to keep with Gunther for the time being? So, and that's a good thing, I think. I think when you have kind of like what they're doing with Cena and Cody, you don't know who's going to win, and I think that's a good thing. That keeps interest involved, and it's not a like, oh well, Gunther's for sure going to win now, so it's not going to be a bother to watch it. No, you really don't know, because both sides have momentum right now. So,
right.
See, what do you think?
I thought it was a good bounce back for Punk after last week being left speechless. I think he needed to, have a retort, in terms of a promo for Gunther, because you want to still be able to sell the match, for SummerSlam. And so, I think Punk I think he eventually win the championship. I just think it's going to take a little bit longer, and I'm not sure if it'll be the World Heavyweight Championship. I think Endgame will probably be him facing Cody, heel Cody to be exact, because remembering what he told Cody, he told him that championship, seeing that championship turn people into their worst selves, basically. And, the addiction to the title, as, you alluded to, as he alluded to as well, that it can consume you and turn you into someone you're not. And so I feel like, because it did that for Punk, and he knows at some point is going to do that to Cody. And he's like hinted at that so many times. And you think about the backstage segment they had, a few weeks ago, basically saying, hey, we can't keep avoiding each other, because they know at some point they're going to have to lock it up for that championship, whoever happens to be champion. But I think in this case, Cody will be champion. And so I think that's why I think Gunther will retain on Sunday, and Punk will have to, take a different route to get a world championship back. And it had to be the WWE championship against Cody. So yeah, I thought it was great promo between the two guys. Definitely helped, further sell the feud. And so yeah, I'm excited for the match at SummerSlam.
All right, now we get to our main event, which is Jey Uso taking on Bronson Reed, and it was a pretty straightforward match. Reed dominated most of the match, and then Uso, building up momentum, did a suicide dive to knock Reed out, and then out of nowhere, Braun Breaker with a spear from like what looked like 10 yards away, and he took flight. I love when he does that. Spears Jey. Referee calls for the bell for disqualification, so Jey Uso wins the match. And then as Uso's getting beat down, crowd chanting OTC, and Roman Reigns hits the ring, and he takes out one. He takes out Reed. Then he takes out Breaker, and as they are standing tall, Jey and Roman look at each other and kind of nod their head, and they say, "Okay, we're not done yet." They both go outside and both line up for a spear, only for Breaker and Reed to counter with spears of their own, and just a beatdown started to happen. Roman gets hit with a couple of tsunamis. Then as they're on the outside, Breaker is barking at just in the ring in general, basically saying, this is my place, this is my house now. This cameraman, he works for me. And I love this line, all these fat asses in the stands, they bark for me. And then Roman and Jey are both rolled up along the barrier, and then we see Breaker start to do his little twitch thing that he does when he's about to do something psycho, and he goes out and double spears both Reigns and Uso through the barricade. And to add insult to injury, Bronson Reed takes the shoes of Roman Reigns, and him and Breaker stand tall in the ring as the show comes to a close. And this was much needed for Breaker and Reed to show what kind of a threat they are, because the last couple of weeks they have been getting beat up too much at the end of each show, and they look weak, but this is what they needed. They really needed this. Now, this probably just signifies that Roman and Jey are going to win at SummerSlam, but building that credibility is huge right now for Reed and Breaker, and they kind of lost that when Rollins went down with the injury. But overall, really good job there with that segment. And as for Raw as a whole, Steve, before I get you to your thoughts on this segment, it just felt lackluster, honestly. I thought the last two segments were pretty good with Punk and Gunther for sure. The main event the aftermath was good, but really the only two matches that really stood out for me were the 8-woman tag match and then the mixed gender match. And then after that, everything was just kind of and not really something good to lead up to be the go home show for a 2-night SummerSlam. So I was a little underwhelmed by that. But see, what do you think of the main event and your thoughts on Raw overall?
The main event, man. I will say it's been just these two against each other. That's kind of been a little bit redundant. It seemed like they've faced off about 3 or 4 times already. And I'm just like, how many times they got to go one-on-one? But outside of that, the aftermath, the brawling and everything, it was a nice touch, a nice way to, further sell this particular feud. Like I said, normally, like anybody that gets the momentum going into the pay-per-view, it means that they are going to lose. And I feel like in this particular situation, that's what's going to happen. But it does help that they've gained some type of momentum after getting beat up the last 2 or 3 weeks. So yeah, I do agree. This is pretty beneficial for Bronson and then Braun. But yeah, in terms of the entire show, I do agree it was lackluster. Normally, go home shows for any pay-per-view, especially one of the big fours, you want to go all out, and not all out, but at least turn the temperature up a little bit. And so I feel like for Monday Night Raw, they didn't turn the temperature up, high. And so SmackDown has definitely been turning the temperature up. And I feel like we will get a continuation of that this Friday. And I guess it helps with the superstars that they have on SmackDown compared to Raw.
Yeah.
You got Cody, you got Cena, you got Orton, all those guys. So, they got an advantage. And then you got a better tag team division as well. So I think, they got a little bit of an advantage over Raw right now. But yeah, I think, it was a lackluster show, but, it is what it is. That usually means that they're going to put on a banger of a pay-per-view. We got 2 nights, first time in history, SummerSlam history. We get 2 nights, and it's in New Jersey. So huge stadium. They've been there before, twice for WrestleMania. The fact that we're getting a SummerSlam there is going to be pretty cool. I don't know what the weather's going to be like in New Jersey around this time of the year, but hopefully there's no rain or anything like that. But yeah, so those are my thoughts on the show.
All right, well, that's going to wrap things up for us here on another edition of Monday Night Raw Dog. Thank you to all of you that are listening, and please remember to like, share, and subscribe to all of our content here at the WeBook It Podcast. For Big Daddy C, I am Coach. We'll see you next week on the aftermath of SummerSlam on Monday Night Raw Dog.
Take care, guys.